Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Don't mind me, just got out of a shower. I've spent the morning at the gym, taking paintis classes, and having a meeting for work. And so I have a few minutes. I wanted to go ahead and sit down because I wanted to do kind of a recap video because today is September 1st, which means yesterday was the last day for Doggust, and I stuck with that challenge throughout the whole month. And I wanted to kind of do a recap on it. I want to talk about some things that I learned, kind of my process on how I did it, different things that I tried, and kind of what I hope to do now that I've done this challenge. So to start with, I did not do one every single day. When I started, I was doing really good, doing one about every day for about the first 9 days. And then Payne and I were moving, and that was like the week that was just so hectic. And then the week after that, Lily, my puppy, had a surgery. She had to get spayed and she had complications with that. And so I got behind in all of that because I was also juggling work. So I had a couple of days where I kind of had to catch up, and then I got more consistent, which actually was really good because it kind of pushed me to try a different style, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But I'm really happy. I'm glad. I love doing monthly challenges. I think I'm gonna look and see if there are any popular ones for September. I know October is Inktober, and I did that one 2 years ago, and I look forward to doing it again this year. But I like doing monthly challenges because it pushes me to do something when I either just don't have time to sit down and do the full think through thought process to create something original. I like the fact that there's a challenge with its own prompt. So I think I'm gonna look and see what September could possibly have for me. If y'all have any suggestions, please let me know. But with that being said, let's go through my Doggust. Okay, so stuck with all 31. What I did is I used the app Procreate. So this is my iPad. I have Procreate set with its own little widget. And then here are different projects I have, but I created a folder for Doggust particularly so that I could always just have it compiled. I did all of them in just the most simplest of, your normal screen size. And I did that for a couple different reasons, but I just wanted all of them to be the exact same so that when I then put them on Instagram, they would all format the same way, which worked almost perfectly. There was one in particular that did not format the same as the others, and it annoys me. And if you look at my Instagram, you can see which one, but it's okay. So anyways, we're going to go through and we're going to talk about just a few of my favorites and why they're my favorites. Trying to get my lighting set up. So first one is Aspen, and I want to talk about this first because it was the first one. It was my first attempt trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to do this, and I just stuck with a basic line work. So I have my reference drawing here that I just adjusted to the size that I needed and took away, lowered the opacity of it. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to take away any of my line work and even take this away. Okay. So what I just did was I just adjusted the opacity of the image. So this is an Aspen, and when I worked through it, I just did my line work. I always, for all of my images, I started with finding kind of the darkest color for it to be my base or my line work color. And then what I would do is trying to figure out the best lighting. Okay. Technical difficulties. Don't mind me as I'm trying to figure this out. Okay. Then what I did was I would first do an outline in pencil. And once I did my outline in pencil, then I would go over that with ink. So the different pencils that I use, what I'm going to show you real quick. So the pencil that I used for my sketching is I either use the Narinder pencil or the 6B pencil. For inking, I really like to use syrup. That's just my all-time favorite. I think it's really nice and smooth, and I can get different dimensions of size really easily. So this is my Aspen, right? So just very simple. I added some variants in the background. Extremely simple. Nothing crazy. Then the second one that I want to really focus in on is the Dalmatian. So this was day 2. When doing the Dalmatian, I wanted to kind of play around a little bit more with adding pops of color, adding dimension. So not only having just my outline, but actually having color. And for my lettering for all of these, I forgot to mention that with the Aspen, what I did was I just imported like a script from Pinterest and just copied, because my lettering is really bad. It's something I want to work on. So I just did this, and then everything was very consistent through all of them. So the Dalmatian was just a little bit more variance in color. Then we had a couple more days, and really the next kind of like jump or change in my process really is because then on day 3, then I actually filled them out, but it was very bland, very flat. So I tried to do it a little bit more with some colors, but my blending wasn't that great, so I used the blur method. I don't really like that. I don't think it's as clear. So we get to the Great Dane, which is probably my favorite day out of all of them. I think this is just the best texture I could have put in for them. I think it's very fitting to the originals, to my reference photos, and I love this one. It's one of my favorites because I was able to really put in some texture with different markers, different pieces. I think for this one I actually used syrup. I think for drawing, I think I used the little pine. And I also used blackburn, so I took the original blackburn and I just kind of spaced it out. That way I could get more of that texture that I really wanted to kind of create that brindle pattern on the Great Danes. And this is just, like I said, it's another one of my favorites. Then the next one that I really would love to focus on is the Nova Scotia. So through really the Shiba Inu all the way to the Greyhound, I used somewhat of the same texture. I still did the outline in pencil, then the outline in the syrup ink, and then either painted on and then used the blur to kind of change it to make it look like they have fur. But after the Greyhound, that's when I was really pressed for time. That's when I was a little bit behind. So trying to catch up, I then did a completely different kind of process. And so this process was still, outlining in pencil, then outlining in the syrup ink. But then I started blocking out my colors because I didn't have time to really go in and like stroke for stroke do all of the colors. And for time's sake, this allowed me to still have that texture, but it let it be more blocky and save time. And this is just another one of my favorites. Then I also have the Border Collie, which I think is just so cute. I love this one. I think it catches the character and like the personality of a Border Collie so well. I used to ride at a barn with 2 Border Collies and it was hilarious. And I think that's something that I've really enjoyed out of this process is a lot of these breeds I've never really looked at a lot or focused on. Border Collies I have, but it's hard to draw something when you're not used to seeing it in everyday life because you don't know how it works, right? And so I did work off of references for all of these, but working off of references really allowed me to kind of capture the personality of the dog itself. And so I don't regret working off of references. In fact, I'm really glad that I did. Then I want to look at 2 back-to-back. So there's the Pit Bull, same color blocking process, as well as the Jack Russell Terrier. And both of these are back-to-back, and they are both done off of dogs of friends of mine, which kind of leads me off into what I want to do moving on now that I've practiced all of these images. But I really enjoyed this process because I did this for a few other images. I did it for the Australian sheepdog and did it for the poodles, etc., and even the corgi. And I liked the fact that then I could take this and I would just take off the lettering and I could send this image to my friends. And this one's fun because I've met this dog and he is so sweet. And I was able to capture him as a child, you know, as a little puppy and as an adult. And I liked that it was the same dog, but at different times. And I thought that was really sweet to capture kind of that innocence and that playfulness. There's the corgi and the poodle that I mentioned. The last one that I really want to mention, or I guess category that I want to mention, is I mentioned that there are some dogs that I've never seen in person, that I've never really looked up a lot because they just aren't my typical dogs that I like. So I don't typically look at photos of them, you know. One of them is the Afghan Hound. Personally, I don't like dogs that have a lot of fur. I don't. I think they can get in the way and it's just frustrating to upkeep. And so when I started this one, I was like, this is not my favorite type of dog. This is not gonna be fun. However, I actually really enjoy how this came out. And I don't know, I just get that personality that if this Afghan Hound was in an illustrative story for a kid's book or a movie, this would be kind of that 60s, 70s, the hippie vibe, you know. He needs sunglasses and he needs a floral shirt or collar. He needs something of that vibe. And so this one actually became a lot of fun. And then the last one was the Borzoi, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. I really enjoyed this one. So most of my images, it's of the dogs either forward facing or quartering away, right? So this would be quartering away because we see a majority of one side and a portion of the other. But the Borzoi is one of the only ones. I did this with the Aspen. The Aspen was also half turning away. So it's kind of funny because it's the Aspen, mainly. It's kind of interesting to see how I started off with mainly turning away, and then I did a whole lot of forward facing, and then the last one's also turning away, but this is the only one that's fully turned away to this side, so I'm only drawing one eye, right? And Borzois are really funny to look at forward facing. They have very long snouts, and I tend to struggle with perspective, and so I knew that if I tried to draw that, it would just look weird. So I decided to take it from the side, and this is one of probably, other than the Great Dane, I think the Great Dane and the Borzoi are probably my favorite too. Out of all 31 images, I think those two are my absolute favorite. And I like the fact that they're the different styles, right? So this one's the blocking image, and yet the Great Dane was more of that blended, the texturized. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed doing this challenge. If you've never done it, I highly recommend you do it next year, or good grief, do it now. You can still look at the prompts. You can look at the prompts from years in the past. But what's great about doing these prompts is you can do them however you want. Everyone gets to show their own style, and they get to choose how they kind of render their work, right? So they can do it digitally. They can do it on, with pencil and piece of paper. They can do it off of a reference or straight from their mind. They can make it look abstract or make it look extremely realistic. But it's up to you, and it allows you to grow and experiment and show your style through your own work. And it's a lot of fun. If you look at on Instagram, if you look Doggust in August, that's their handlebar. I'll write it down here. They every day were posting on their stories, if it was the Golden Retriever Day, they would post all of the, subscriptions or submissions of all the Golden Retrievers. And so it was really cool because you could see everybody's different style of all the same subject, and it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I appreciate you staying through all of this, listening in. Don't mind the still mess that's behind me. It's a slow work in progress, but there is progress. But all of that to say, I hope y'all enjoyed watching my progress throughout the month, as you saw on my Instagram, or as I started posting videos on YouTube, like the shorts. I'm going to kind of catch up on those as well. It's the next process. But I hoped you kind of enjoyed this little rundown and the things that I want to do, right? The goals of where I want to take this, what I've learned. One, I really enjoyed this color blocking. I enjoy that process of the art. I enjoy the fact that it still captures the animal itself. Things I want to do with this. I would love to now take this, now that I've done all different types of breeds, but also even some of my friends, is I'm considering opening kind of commissions and pricing it differently. So if it's, you send me a photo of your dog, and if you want just line work, that's a certain price. If you want the blocking, that's a different price. Or if you want the more detailed texturized, then that's a different price. But doing it all and then, giving people the digital image. And I'm hopeful that people might be interested in that. If you're interested in that, let me know. If you have different ideas, please let me know. But I think it'd be fun for people with their different pets, if they can do that with a horse, a cat, a dog, whatever pet you have. If you send me a couple photos of them, and then based off of what you want and how detailed you want your image, then the pricing would be different. And so that's something I'm hoping to kind of play around with and do, because I think I can do that with the work I have. I can do it kind of in between or in my downtime. I really enjoy doing this. The other thing I've thought about is making some of these into stickers. So when you download, or when you have a photo on your iPad, I just found this out recently because I just got an iPad recently, but you can tap an image and copy it. So for example, I'll show you. I've got the borzoi. Let's see if this will work for me. So if I have the borzoi, and then I can tap it like that, and I can copy it, and then I have good notes. And what I like about this aspect is then I can go like this. Come on. It will let me actually paste it. Okay, I figured it out. Apparently when I copied the image, I didn't copy it fully. So then I can do it like this, right? And then I can press paste, and I can paste the image that I did into my notes, which I've been doing for my weekly calendars, which I will find. So I have my Great Danes, and I really enjoyed that throughout the month, is seeing my work in my calendar and just kind of that encouragement, but also that reminder to do it. But I want to take that and possibly turn some of these into stickers. Now, I've had a hard time finding manufacturers that are not through the nose expensive. And I kind of want to test it. And so if you know of great sticker manufacturers that either deliver to you, that allow you to do different prices, because I don't want to buy 200 stickers of one sticker and then find myself that I either don't like that sticker, or it's just not selling or something, and I'm stuck with 150 of these stickers. I'd much rather be able to kind of do 20 of each sticker, because even if it's that amount, then I can kind of give them away. So there's different things I'm looking into, but I'm really excited and I'm hopeful and grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to finding a new challenge for September. Thank you guys so much for coming here today. I would love to see any work you guys did for Doggust. So send it to me over Instagram. If you want to be featured, I'd love to feature you on my story or feature you here on my YouTube. But I want to create that community. So I want to be a part of that community. So if you have your work, send it my way. I'd love to see it. And thank you once again for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful September.